Magic Treehouse, Book Number 35, A Merlin Mission, Night of the New Magicians, by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1. 4 New Magicians. Jack sat on the porch, reading in the summer twilight. Crickets chirped in the Crow Creek woods. The bell of an ice cream truck jingled down the street. Annie stepped out the front door. "Let's go," she said. "Where?" said Jack. "Mom gave us money for ice cream," said Annie. "Cool," said Jack. He pulled on his backpack. Then he followed Annie down the porch steps. As they headed up the sidewalk, the smell of damp leaves and moss wafted from the woods. Annie stopped walking. "Listen," she said. Jack listened. "What?" he said. "I don't hear anything." "That's the point," said Annie. "A minute ago, the crickets were blaring away. Now, everything's super quiet." Jack listened again. Annie was right. All the Rock Creek woods seemed to be holding its breath. "Do you think?" said Jack. "Maybe," said Annie, grinning. "Let's go check." Jack and Annie hurried across the street and into the dim-lit woods. They walked quickly between the leafy trees until they came to the tallest oak. The rope ladder dangled from the tree trunk. The magic tree house sat high in the branches, catching the last light of day. Jack smiled. "I guess ice cream will have to wait," he said. "Yep," said Annie. She grabbed the ladder and climbed up. Jack climbed up after her. Inside the tree house, the dusky light fluttered through the window. "Paris World's Fair?" said Jack. "That sounds fun," said Annie. "Yeah, but I wonder why we're going there," said Jack. "This should tell us," said Annie. She unfolded the paper. It's Merlin's handwriting. She read aloud. "To Jack and Danny of Rock Creek, I have discovered that an evil sorcerer is plotting to steal a secret for 4 new magicians at the Paris World's Fair. Your mission is to find the magicians, warn them, and learn their secrets from me. The four new magicians are the magician of sound. His voice can be heard from 1,000 miles. The magician of light. His fire glows, but they do not burn. The magician of the invisible. He battles deadly enemies no one can see. The magician of iron. He bends the metals of earth and tramples over the wind. Good luck, M. "Our mission sounds more like a fairy tale than real life," said Jack. "And even sorcerer. Magicians are of the invisible, light, sounds, and iron. They sound like they belong in a magical place like Camelot, not a real place like Paris, France. But we're going to the World's Fair," said Annie. "That sounds kinda magical, doesn't it?" "Maybe," said Jack. "But why do such powerful magicians need our help in the first place? Why can't they defeat the evil sorcerer with their own powers?" "Maybe the sorcerer's power is stronger than theirs," said Annie. "So maybe we can help them with Teddy and Kathleen's rhyme," said Jack. Annie gasped. "Oh no, we need the rhymes book. We have to go back home and get it." "Don't worry, I have it," said Jack. "Ever since we've got back from Baghdad, I've been taking it with me everywhere I go, just in case Merlin sent it for us." "Phew," said Annie. "Let's take a look." Jack reached into his backpack. He pulled out a small book written by their 2 young sorcerer friends from Camelot. 10 magic rhymes for Jack and Danny, Annie and Jack, from Teddy and Kathleen. Jack turned to the table of contents. "Okay, we've used 5 rhymes on our last 2 missions," he said. So, we have 5 left for the next 2. We haven't used spin into the air, or make something disappear, or pull the cloud from the sky, or find a treasure you must never lose, or turn into ducks. Quack, quack. Jack looked up. Just kidding, said Annie. You better not make jokes about these rhymes, said Jack said. You might end up saying the wrong one at the wrong time and really get us in trouble. He closed the rhyme book. Ready to go? Ready, said Annie. Jack took a deep breath and picked up the guidebook from book to the 1889 Paris World's Fair. He pointed to the title. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2. A Living Encyclopedia. Jack opened his eyes. The scent of roses flooded through the warm twilight. Jack was wearing an old-fashioned cap, a rusted-collar jacket, and knee-length pants. His backpack had turned into a leather satchel. Annie was wearing a puffy white blouse and a long purple shirt with a ruffle. Look, there's the Eiffel Tower, he said. Jack looked. They had landed in the park filled with trees. Beyond the park, rising into the sky, was the tall tower with lights beaming from the top. That's the Eiffel Tower, all right, said Jack. But where's the World's Fair? He opened the guidebook and found a map. Oh, great, it looks like Fair is directly below the tower. That should make it easy to find it. Let's get going, said Annie. Wait, we need to go over what we have to do on our mission, said Jack. It's simple, said Annie. We have to find the magic of sound, the magician of sound, the magician of light, the magician of invisible, and the magician of iron. We have to warn them about the evil sorcerer, and then learn their secret from Merlin. That doesn't sound simple to me, said Jack. It looks like a huge responsibility. So we'd better start now, said Annie. Come on. Annie led the way down the treehouse ladder. Jack pulled the World's Fair guides into his satchel, along with the letter from Merlin's and the book of rhymes from Teddy and Kathleen. Then he followed Annie down the ladder. As Jack and Annie started across the park, a clinking sound came from Annie's skirt pocket. She reached into the pocket and pulled out a handful of coins. Hey, our ice cream money got changed into the French coins, she said. Good, said Jack. We might need them at the fair. Jack and Danny followed the gravel path that left the park and onto an avenue lit by gas street lamps. Horse-drawn carriage and the old-fashioned bicycles clattered over the cobblestones. They all seemed to be headed toward the crowded bridge that crossed the wide river. Boats were gliding down the river, then lights reflecting in the water. On the fair side of the river, thousands of tiny lamps twinkled along the bank. The Eiffel Tower glowed in the silver twilight. Paris is so beautiful, said Annie. No kidding, said Jack. Let's cross that bridge to the fair. They hurried to join the people streaming across the bridge. Jack and Danny blended easily with the happy crowd. The kids in the crowds were all wearing clothes like theirs. Most of the men wore black top hats and black coats and pants. The women wore hats as big as flower baskets. Their long, colorful dresses puffed out in back. There seemed to be be visitors from many countries. Jack saw Chinese straw hats, Dutch cap, several Indians turbans, and a Mexican sombrero. This reminds me of the carnival we went to in Venice, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. Except in Venice, people were wearing costumes. Here, they're wearing their real clothes. Remember, this is a world fair. Cool, said Annie. Jack looked around. How would they recognize the four new magicians? He wondered. Would they be dressed like people from Paris or people from another country, or would they look like Merlin or Morgan in floating medieval robes? And what about the evil sorcerer? Look like we buy our tickets over there, said Annie as they reached the end of the bridge. Jack and Danny headed for the ticket booth near an entrance gate. Above the gate, a giant banner read, "Welcome to the 1889 Paris World's Fair." As they stood in lines waiting to buy tickets, Jack pulled out their guidebook. "We need to prepare for our mission," he said. He turned to the first page and read aloud, "Welcome to the World's Fair, a living encyclopedia. With over 6 million exhibits from all over the globe. Maybe some of these exhibit are magic shows," said Annie, "and that's where we'll find the new magicians." "Maybe," said Jack. He kept reading. "This World's Fair is a showcase of the progress. Discover the genius of man. Learn all about science and technology. See wondrous new machines and inventions." Jack looked up. He said. "It sounds like this fair is mainly about invention and scientific stuff. I don't see anything here about magical magicians." "How many?" the ticket seller asked gruffly. They had reached the front of the lines. Annie held out a handful of French coins. "Two, please," she said. The ticket seller took two coins. Annie put the remaining change back into their pocket. Then she and Jack walked through the gate into the 1889 Paris World's Fair. Chapter 3. Magic Magicians? "Wow," said Jack and Danny together. Inside the crowded fairgrounds, below the looming Eiffel Tower, a band played a lively march. Fountain shot colored water high into the sky. A small train chugged through the crowd, blowing its whistle. People of all ages from many different countries bustled about in the twilight. Everyone seemed to be having fun, reading from guidebooks, strolling from one habitat to another, or buying refreshment and souvenirs. "We can't see much from here," said Annie. "It's hard to know what's going on." "What about that little train?" said Jack. "Maybe we could ride on it and get a good look at everything." "Good idea," said Annie. The train whistle blew again. "Over there," said Jack. He pointed to the clear space where passengers were getting off the train and other passengers were boarding. "Hurry," said Jack. They raced to the train and jumped on. Annie dug into her pocket and took out some coins. She held them out to the conductor. He took a few, Then Jack and Danny squeezed into seats on the wooden bench. The whistle blew, steam sputtered out of the smokestack, and the small trains began to move. "Look for anything about magic or magicians," said Jack. As the train slowly trucked through the World's Fair, a tall guide's voice blurted out from the megaphone. "Welcome to the World's Fair sightseeing train. On your ride, you will witness the astounding history of human structures as seen nowhere else. In every age, buildings had style and beauty. The train chugged by cave dwellings, canvas tents, and huts made of mud. Magic? Magician? Jack thought as he looked at the different structures. No, no, no. The train passed the thatched cottage, a man's sign on columns, and a palace with a huge golden dome. No, 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 Jack thought. Now we will visit the many land of the world, said the tour guide. First, Egypt. The train chugged past an outdoor cafe. Smell of grilled meat and rich coffee filled the air. 3 women with veils over their face danced the flute music. No magicians there, thought Jack. Next, we have an African village on the beautiful Serengeti Plain, said the tour guide. They passed a clutter of huts surrounded by tall grass. People played drums and shook large rattle. Still no magicians, thought Jack. And now we visit the New Year's festival in faraway China, said the guide. The train chugged by Chinese acrobats and a huge dancing red dragon. Dragons are sort of music, aren't they? Said Annie, looking back. It's just a couple of guys in the costume, said Jack. That doesn't count. On our left is a Muslim mosque. The tour guide said. On the right, the Buddhist temple. Here is the exquisite Japanese garden. No, 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 murmured Jack. The train passed by the show with dolls, dressed in outfits from all around the world. It whirled by a giant brown statue of the woman. This amazing creation is the Roman goddess Venus, said the tour guide, made entirely of chocolate. That is amazing, said Annie. It is, but it's not magic, said Jack. The train rode by the glove of the world at least 3 stories high. The globe was turning slowly. See the lovely mountains, deserts, rivers, and ocean of earth, said the tour guide. This fair really is living encyclopedia, Annie said. But the encyclopedia doesn't have what we need to find, said Jack. He sighed and started tumbling through the guidebook. Ah, fantastic, a train passenger said. Shocking, said other. Magical, exclaimed another. Jack looked up. Did someone just say magical? He asked Annie. Push along, said Annie. They're talking about the Eiffel Tower. The train came to a stop. All the passengers were gazing up. Pink lights lit the huge arch at the base of the tower. The Eiffel Tower was built especially for this World's Fair, said the tour guide. The tower is nearly 1,000 feet high, making it the tallest structure in the world today. Some of you may want to leave us here to get a closer look at the Paris's newest miracle. People began climbing off the train. Maybe we should get off here too, said Jack. This train isn't much help. Jack and Danny jumped out of the train just before its whistle blew and it started moving again. That's a tall tower, said Jack, looking up. Really tall, breathed Annie. Iron roads rose in crisscross patterns high into the sky. Large elevators clanged up through the tower's lacy ironwork. Powerful spotlights beamed from the top of the tower, sweeping long fingers of light over the city. It would be fun to ride to the top of one of those elevators, said Annie. I know, but we don't have time, said Jack. We have to find the 4 new magicians before the evil sorcerer finds them. I wonder if he's here yet, said Annie. Jack and Danny looked around at all the people busily moving about the fairgrounds, going from one exhibit to another. Parents were holding their children's hands and pointing to the tower. Couples were strolling arms in arms. Everyone seems happy and excited. No one looked like an evil sorcerer, thought Jack. No one's looked like a magician of sounds, or a magician of light, or a magician of the invisible, or a magician of Iron Eater. Jack's thoughts were interrupted by a young girl's voice. You see, Papa, it is magic. Magic? Said Jack. He and Danny looked at each other. Over there, said Annie. She pointed to the nearby exhibit. A new girl was laughing as her father pressed a pair of earpieces against his ears. Jack and Danny walked closer to the exhibit. It looked positively unbelievable, Mimi, the man said, shaking his hand. It's magic, isn't it, Papa? Said the girl. It can send a voice 1,000 miles. And he grabbed Jack's arm. Did you hear what she just told? She whispered. Send a voice 1,000 miles. That's what the magician of sound does. Right, said Jack. He and Danny looked at the sign above the exhibit. It said, telephone, a new invention by Alexander Graham Bell. She's talking about a telephone, said Jack. I guess it's just been invited. So Alexander Graham Bell must be the magician of sound, said Annie. Oh man, do you think Alexander Graham Bell is here in person? Said Jack. I'll ask, said Annie. She walked to the gray-haired woman, helping with the exhibit. Excuse me, but do you know where we can find Alexander Graham Bell? I'm afraid he's just left, said the woman. Where did he go? Asked Annie. I do not know, said the woman. A strange man gave me an invitation to give to Mr. Bell. When Mr. Bell read it, he left at once. That is all I know. Excuse me. The woman turned away to answer someone else's questions. Alexander Graham Bell, Jack said to Annie. He's a famous inventor, not a magician. The evil sorcerer must heard about the telephones and thought it was magic, said Annie. I wonder what that invitation said, said Jack. And why did the lady say the messenger was strange? Let's ask, said Annie. Annie tapped the gray-haired lady woman on the arm. Excuse me, we have two more questions, she said. Do you know what was on the invitation? And why did you say the messenger was strange? I do not know what the invitation said, replied the woman, but the man who delivered it was dressed in a long, dark cloak. He wore a hood that hid most of his face, and he spoke in a deep, whispery voice. Jack felt a chill go down his spine. So that's what the evil sorcerer looked like, he said. He thought, just like you expect. Sounds like a sorcerer. And he whispered to Jack. I know, Jack said, looking around. Do you have any idea where the strange man in the clock went? Annie asked the woman. He asked for direction to the hall of machines, said the woman. Where's that? Asked Jack. Is that here at the fair? Yes, of course. It is a gigantic building made of glass. Can you see the roof? The woman pointed to an arched glass rooftop lumbering above other fair buildings in the distance. I can see it, said Annie. Good, said the woman. Excuse me now. I must help some other people. Sure, thanks, said Annie. Let's go, she said to Jack. She started walking quickly up across the fair grounds. Wait, said Jack, hurrying after her. The messenger is a sorcerer. I just know it, said Annie. Of course he is, said Jack, but what do we do when we find him? I don't know yet, said Annie. He could be dangerous, said Jack. We need to make a plan. We need to find him first, said Annie, before he gets away. Hurry! She broke into the run and dashed toward the hall of machines. Chapter 4 Wizard of Menlo Park. Jack ran after Annie. He caught up to her outside the huge building made of glass. She was standing in the line waiting to buy tickets. Listen, Jack said brightly. We've got to make a plan. What if we suddenly find the sorcerer? What do we say to him? What if he tried to use his power against us? We'll use a rhyme, said Annie. Which rhymes? Said Jack. How many, children? Interrupted the ticket seller. They reached the front of the line. 2, please, said Annie, holding out some coins. The man gave her 2 tickets, and Annie turned back to Jack. Let's go inside and see if we can find a sorcerer. Then we can figure out which rhyme. Okay, but be cool, said Jack, so the sorcerer doesn't notice us. Jack and Annie walked through the entrance of the glass building. Oh man, whispered Jack. The hall of machines was a size of football stadium. It was filled with thousands of people and thousands of machines. Motors, rolls, wheels, spun, gears clank. What kind of place is this? Asked Annie. Jack pulled out a guidebook and read aloud. In the Hall of Machines, you will see machines from all over the world, bringing alive a world of engineers and inventors. You will see how clothes is sewn by machines to make clothes. You will see an exhibit of an automobile powered by gasoline. And of course, you will see the collection of inventions by the American Grand Prize winner from Menlo Park, New Jersey. Look at that! Annie interrupted. She pointed to the machinal walk-by overhead. The walk-by circled the entire exhibit hall. Sightseers gazed down on all the exhibits. We can look at everything from up there. Good, said Jack. Maybe we can spot a sorcerer." He put away the guidebook and led the way up the stairs. They stepped onto the crowd's moving walkway and peered down at all the people milling about the exhibit hall below. There was all clothes of men dressed in black coats and top hats. There were American cowboys and bearded men in arms robes and head clothes. But Jack didn't see a single scary-looking guy in the hooded cloak. As Jack and Danny moved slowly over the exhibits, the air grew hotter and the sounds in the hall grew louder. Hammers hammered, siren blowed, bells rang, whistle whistled. The voice of other sightseers swirled around Jack and Danny. "What genius! The age of machines! He's the Wizard of Menlo Park! Did you hear that?" And shouted to Jack. "Someone said something about the wizard." "I heard," said Jack. "The Wizard of Menlo Park. We just read something about Menlo Park." He pulled out the guidebook and found the page he'd been reading. He read aloud. "And of course, you will see the collections of invention by the American Guide Prize winner from Menlo Park, New Jersey, Mr. Thomas Alva Edison." "Thomas Alva Edison," said Jack. "He's one of the most brilliant inventors who ever lived. Where's his exhibit?" They looked down at all the booths. Directly below them was a booth with a big sign that said Edison. "There, let's go down," said Annie. When the moving walkway came to the staircase, Jack and Danny jumped off and hurried down the main floor, squeezing past people as they went. "Okay, where is it?" said Annie, looking around. "Follow me," said Jack. He led her down a wide aisle until they came to the Edison exhibit. Lots of people were gathered around the booth. Jack and Danny slipped through the crowd to get a good look. Many of Thomas Edison's inventions were on display. One of them had a big tube and lots of switches. Above it was a sign, "Photograph." "What's the phonograph?" Annie asked. "I think it's like an old-fashioned CD player," said Jack. "It was the first thing that played recording for music." A man with earphones was listening to the phonograph. Tears ran down his wrinkled face. "It's incredible," he said to the woman beside him. "Now we can hear the dead sing." "What does he mean?" Annie asked Jack. "I guess he means that even after people die, you can still be able to hear the voice on the recording," said Jack. "I never thought of it like that," said Annie. "Shh," someone said. People were trying to listen to the man delivering a speech to the crowd. His name tag said Henry. Yes, indeed. Henry was saying. "Thomas Alva Edison of Menlo Park, New Jersey, USA, invented the phonograph, shown to the public for the first time here at the Paris World's Fair. Mr. Edison had invented many other things too." Henry moved to another display on the booth, a light bulb with a switch. He clicked the switch, turning the bulb up, on, and off. 10 years ago, after years of works and thousands of experiments, Thomas Alva Edison invented the incandescent light bulb, said Henry. "When it electricity passes through the thread, it gets very hot. There is no oxygen in the glass bulb, however, so the fire glows, but it did not burn." As others moved closer to the light bulb to get a good look, Jack turned to Annie. "Its fires glow, but they do not burn," he whispered. "Thomas Edison is a magician of light." "I know," said Annie. She turned to Henry. "Excuse me, is Mr. Addison in Menlo Park now?" she asked. "No, as a matter of fact, Mr. Addison's were here at this exhibit just a short while ago," said Henry. "Do you know where he is now?" asked Jack. "No, all I know is that he was invited to the party and he left," said Henry. Jack felt the hair on his neck go up. "The sorcerer," he whispered. "Did the strange messengers in the clock deliver the invitations?" asked Annie. "Why, yes," said Henry. "Do you know where the messengers went after he left here?" Jack asked. "He asked for direction to the Pasteur Institute. That is all I know," said Henry. "The Pasteur Institute?" said Jack. "Where's that?" But Henry didn't answer. Another boy had asked him a question about the light bulb. "Come on," Annie said to Jack. "We'll find it somehow." As Jack and Danny left the Edison's exhibit, they could hear Henry repeating his speech word for word. 10 years ago, after years of work and thousands of experiments, Thomas Alva Edison invented the incandescent light bulb. Chapter 5. Hello? Jack and Danny passed through the crowd of people swarming about the hall of machines. Finally, they reached the exit and slipped back out through into the warm Paris night. The fair was just as crowded outside the hall as inside. Magicians played guitars, singers sang, food sellers shouted, "Chocolate milk, cheese, bread, wine." "We have to get to the Pasteur Institute fast," Annie shouted to Jack. Jack pulled out the guidebook and scanned the index, looking for the Pasteur Institute. "It's not in here," he said. He closed the guidebook. "It must not be part of the fair. Maybe one of those horse and buggies can take us there," said Annie. She pointed to the row of cottages along the street. There was a line of people waiting to get into them. "Come on," said Jack. Annie and Jack made their way through the crowd and stood in the carriage line. "Thomas Alva Edison and Alexander Graham Bell," said Jack. "The sorcerer must think they're new magicians with secret powers. And now he's invented them to some kind of party," said Annie, "so we can steal their secrets." "I bet he's inviting the other two," said Jack. "The magicians of irons and the magicians of invisible." "I wonder if they're inventors too," said Annie. "Come on, it's our turn," said Jack. They had reached the front of the carriage line. "We need to go to the place called the Pasteur Institute," Jack called to the coachman. "Can you take us?" "But of course," said the man. "Thanks," said Annie. She and Jack climbed into the back of the open carriage. The coachman shook the reins, and his white horse climbed down the cobblestone street. "Excuse me," Annie said, leaning forward, "but what exactly is the Pasteur Institute?" "It is the laboratory of finding the cure for disease," said the coachman. "Oh," said Annie, "interesting." She turned back to Jack. "Why would an evil sorcerer look for magicians in a place like that?" "I don't know," said Jack. "Maybe the sorcerer got sick," said Annie. "I don't think so," said Jack. "But now we really need a plan. What if we run into them at the institute? Remember, he had magic powers." "But we have magic powers too," said Annie. "Right," breathed Jack. He reached into his satchel and pulled out a book, 10 Magic Rhymes for Annie and Jack from Teddy and Kathleen. By the light of carriage lantern, Jack and Danny looked at the table of contents. "Remember, we can only use the rhyme once," Jack said to Annie. "Make the stone come alive." "We've done that," make helpers appeared out of nowhere. Done that. Mend what cannot be mended. Done that. But we hadn't used spin into the air, said Annie, or make something disappear, or find a treasure you must never use, or pull the cloud from the sky, or turn into dark. Go back, said Jack. Make something disappear. What about that? Is the person a something? Asked Annie. Why not? Said Jack. This one rhyme could solve our whole problem. We'll just make the sorcerer disappear. Yes, breathed Annie. Okay, here's your plan, said Jack. Let's memorize the rhyme now. Then as soon as we see the sorcerer, we can say it without having a look in the book. Great, said Annie. Jack turned into the page in the rhyme book. I'll memorize the line that Teddy wrote. You memorize the line in Kathleen's language, he said. Got it, said Annie. She looked at the rhymes and started to say her line. The boo one. No, don't, yelped Jack, putting his hands over her mouth. Don't say it out loud until we need it. You might accidentally make one of us or something really important disappear. Sorry, said Annie. We'll practice silently, said Jack, and we'll each only learn our own line, so neither of us can say the whole rhyme at the wrong time. Good plan, said Annie. Annie started the line silently while Jack started his. As Jack repeated his rhyme in his head, the carriage rolled down the busy street. The street was filled with more carriages and many bicycles. Some of the bikes were built for two people. Couples dressed in fancy evening clothes paddled together. Other Parisians ate by candlelight in outdoor cafes. Waiters in white aprons carried trays high in the air. Everyone seemed relaxed and cheerful as the carriage turned onto the quiet tree-lined street. Jack wished that he and Danny could just have fun in Paris like everyone else and not be worrying about an evil sorcerer. Here we are, said the driver, interrupted Jack's thought. He brought the carriage to the stop. The pastor's interlude. This is it? Said Jack. The pastor interlude looked like a spooky mansion. Its huge front door were closed, and its tall windows were dark. Are you sure we come to the right place? Annie asked in a small voice. But of course I'm sure, said the coachman. The interlude appeared to be closed. Would you like to take it somewhere else? No thanks, said Jack. We'll get out here. Annie gave the coachman a few coins. Then she and Jack climbed out of the carriage. Thanks, said Annie. The coachman flicked his reins and the white horse trotted away down the street. Jack and Danny stared at the dark, silent building. I guess we should go up and knock, said Annie. She and Jack climbed the stone steps to the gigantic front doors. We'd come to the right place, said Jack. A gas lamp lit a small metal sign that said lowest pressure installed. Jack knocked on the door 3 times. No one answered. Annie turned the huge handle and pushed. The door was locked. Maybe there's another door somewhere, said Annie. Jack and Danny walked around the interlude. They knocked at the back door and the side door, but no one answered. When they got back to the front of the building, Jack heaved a sigh. It's no use, he said. We come to a completely dead end. We can't give up, said Annie. I know, said Jack. Then both stood looking at the street. All was silent, quiet, except for a few bikes rattling by. Suddenly, a whispery voice came from behind them. Hello?